Welcome to Physics for Good. I'm Allison, and today I want to talk about diffraction. Now, if I were to say to you that you can hear someone around a corner, but you can't see them, you would say, duh. But what if I said, why?
This is diffraction. Diffraction is the bending or spreading out of a wave around an edge. So if instead of creating a water wave, we were throwing really tiny toy blocks towards the camera through this pathway, they would be confined to that pathway as they come out the other end. But waves are a different story. It's a little hard to see on the right, but on the left you can tell the ripples have spread out or bent around the edge. We can see the same thing happening with light, which we also know is a wave. If at home you're in a dark room and you open the door just a crack to a light room or to the outdoors, you can see fairly clearly in this photo that the light spreads out beyond the width of the crack in the door. So it turns out the amount of diffraction, or the amount of bending, depends on the wavelength of the wave. And so here we have a wave with a very short wavelength, and here we have a wave with a very long wavelength. And so what these down here represent are the crests of the wave. So here's one crest, and then so on and so forth. Here's one crest, here's the next crest, and so on and so forth. And so here we have the edge that our wave is bending around, and we can see with a very short wavelength we get some bending, but not nearly as much as when we have a longer wavelength. So how does this relate to the difference between why we can't see someone around a corner but we can hear them? Well, first, we have to get a feel for the difference between a meter and a nanometer.
This is a meter stick. It measures, yes, a meter. Each one of these numbers on the meter stick represents a centimeter, and each one of these teeny tiny lines represents a millimeter. Now, if you were to zoom in on this meter stick so that each one of these teeny tiny lines appeared to be the size of this meter, so now we've zoomed in so that the millimeter is now the size of a meter, then each one of these teeny tiny lines on the millimeter stick would be a micron. And then if we zoomed in again so that each of the teeny tiny lines of the micron was now this size, then each of the teeny tiny lines on the micron stick would be a nanometer.
The wavelengths of visible light are a few hundred nanometers, super tiny, and definitely belongs over here on the left-hand side with our tiny wavelengths. In contrast, the wavelengths of sound that humans can hear in air range from 17 millimeters to 17 meters. That's anywhere from about this to 17 of these sticks. Definitely much larger, and definitely belongs over on the right-hand side with our big wavelengths. And so this difference between the wavelengths of sound and light explains why you can hear someone around a corner, because the diffracted waves do reach you, but you cannot see someone around a corner because the diffracted waves do not reach you. Returning to our original example of diffraction with water brings me to this example of diffraction, which brings me to Watershed Management Group. So I'm here with Ryan Morse from Watershed Management Group. Can you tell us a little bit about your work?
Yeah, totally. Well, first, thanks for having us on, Allison. So Watershed Management Group is a local nonprofit that creates community-based solutions to ensure the long-term prosperity of people and health of the environment. Basically what that means is we provide knowledge, skills, and resources for sustainable livelihoods. So we're here in downtown Tempe at one of our recent green infrastructure project sites. Green infrastructure, also called low-impact development, refers to utilizing features that use natural, living systems that provide a lot of benefits to the community. So green infrastructure is able to capture, clean, and infiltrate stormwater. It creates native wildlife habitat. It can cool our communities and buildings, and it can even calm traffic on busy streets such as this one. So the popularity of green infrastructure is growing as more communities are experiencing firsthand the many benefits that it can bring. This specific project site here in Tempe features 2 street-side curb cuts, which allow water to flow in off the street and into the sunken basins, which nourish native Sonoran plants and provide nice habitat for wildlife and mitigate flooding.
Along with storm water from the street does also come a bit of trash from the street, and also some of the rocks in the basin get a little loosened. Ryan showed me how to care for the basin after a big storm. It's just as simple as you would think. In fact, I attended their Hydrate class series, and so many of the project ideas seem like really smart and simple ways that any property owner can conserve water. I'm excited to find a time when I can come to one of their co-op events where they implement these projects with the help of the community.
How can viewers support your organization other than just watching this video?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, if they want to get involved, I'd encourage you to come out and volunteer at our Green Living Co-op workshops. Once you become a member, you can earn discounts and do your own water harvesting and green infrastructure work in your own landscape, in your own community. If you want to become an ambassador of our organization, you can join the Valley Docent Program. If you want to go to free classes, you can come to our Hydrate the Valley classes that go to Phoenix, Glendale, Tempe, and Mesa. And of course, if you feel inspired to support our mission, you can donate to us online at watershedmg.org.
Awesome. Thanks for watching. If you like what you just saw, please consider subscribing right here and sharing the video with a friend. Also, check out the video description where you'll find a link to the charity you just saw, as well as some affiliate links.